Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Joe Martin Show. Today I'm here with Carlos. So can you introduce yourself?
How you doing? We're on?
Yeah, we're on.
All right. Hi, how you doing, man? I'm Carlos. I do photography and some videography. I work for an agency in town. And then I also do my own freelance thing, which so most people probably don't know Carlos, but they might have heard of North 10th, or at least if you're around before the pandemic, RGV Titan Radio. I was a part of that movement as well. It was a really fun time. But unfortunately, you know how everything went 2020. So that kind of we were one of the casualties of all that as well. But yeah, that's what I'm up to now, and so that's what I do, man.
So out of curiosity, like, how did you get involved with the music scene? Because I mean, it's one thing being like part, like doing your marketing, your marketing job's your main thing. But like, how did you kind of get involved with the scene itself?
The local scene, I was never as a part of it as I really would have liked to have been when I was younger. You mentioned to me that you did band, so I was a band geek too.
High school, yeah.
So I was a band geek. So I've always was around musicians, and of course I love music. I was actually a music minor in college.
Oh, sure.
So I went to college and I wanted to be like, hey, I want to be on the radio. I always wanted to be like a DJ, and I almost got a job with a local radio station conglomerate. At one point when I was in college down here before I transferred up to Texas State, but they wanted me to be full-time and that wasn't have to be drop out of college. And I was like, well, I don't know about that. I was like, I already went this far and I'd, kind of, made certain commitments and promises to like family, and people. And I was like, no, I definitely got to, get that degree kind of thing. And so I turned it down and I ended up transferring out to Texas State and spent 4 years up there, and it was awesome time. And then they have their own live radio station, so I still ended up on the air. And so I was always around, especially up there, working with the radio station and interviewing artists. I was writing about album reviews, so we pick up albums every other week or something like that, and you'd write a whole review and you choose the good ones from the albums so that they would get play on our radio station. And when I graduated, of course, it was the question of, okay, what you gonna do now? And one of my professors was very familiar with the agencies and news stations down here, so he's like, "We're from the Valley. You should head back. It's a mid-level market compared to like there's 100 and some 160, 140 markets over the U.S. and the Valley is actually like slap dab in the middle, like 70, 80. So so move up into a bigger market, you're already gonna go into a bigger city, and to go any lower, like, well, you don't want to do that.
Obviously.
This is home, so it's actually not bad. So I came down here, and for 3 years, to be honest, I didn't do anything with the music scene. I lived at the news station. I was a news producer. I started off as a video editor.
What do you do as a news producer?
Man, as a news producer, you do everything. Like, you are the entire creation of the news, of the episode of the newscast is you. You decide which stories you're going to cover. Of course, you have to dedicate some time to, weather and certain sports, even some traffic, all that kind of stuff. But you do everything. You're choosing on whether you're going to do a minute and a half on one story, or we're going to do just 30 seconds on one. Are we going to use graphics, or are we going to use video, pictures? So you choose all of that. You write the whole script. The anchors will go through it and they'll fix it to their voice. But then everywhere else, everyone is connected by the screen you're working on. And it pretty much looks like an Excel screen.
Oh, shoot.
And the editors are, okay, well, what video do I need for what, stories? The associate producers are, okay, what graphics do I need for what story, with a mugshot or a map, or, obviously the sound people are, okay, we need a open mic for this. We need a mic open for that. At this point, you're setting all the cues. So you do everything, man. Like,
basically everything.
You're literally doing everything. You're choosing the camera shots in the studio. The studio guys are seeing that, okay, he wants a 2-shot of the anchors, and then it's going to go to 1 shot of, at the time, Leti Valadez, and then we're going to move over. We're going to have the graphic, so you're doing everything. You're pretty much middle management, and so it's a grind, man.
How did you get to that so soon? Or I'm not sure, like, I'm just assuming it was soon, but like, after college, like, what job did you do exactly? Because I think some like, again, the majority of my listeners are like college students. Sometimes they wonder, like, how do you even get a job whether it be in, I guess, in the media, because I know some of them are in media.
Yeah.
Like, how do you land a job right after college? Because I know some people, they see like, oh, you need 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience just for an entry level job. How do they like figure that one out?
Well, luckily for at least, most places, they do have entry level jobs. Like if you really want to start from the bottom at like a local news station, they do have like a camera op, or at the time someone who was going they still do it. But someone who goes and they get the scripts out and they're getting the rundowns out, and they're kind of, I hate to say it because they're very, I respected the people. The easiest way though is the gophers, kind of thing. But no, like they have entry level jobs. You just got to look. The only thing is that the pay, probably isn't that great. Maybe the hours aren't great either, whether it's part time or overnight type of thing. So we had plenty of people that they're great people. They're doing jobs, but they had to switch between being an associate producer, then working at HEB, on their off day or something like that. Or so it's a grind, it's a grind. But I was able to get in because of stuff I did in college. Texas State had a live radio station, so I had a block of my own Fridays from 12 to 2. So I'd get out of class and then go up to Old Main. If anyone knows Old Main, shout out Old Main. And they had the radio station at the top. And it's the highest point in the campus. So so you can get the wave out to the actual transistor, to the transmitter. And then again, we also did stuff where you're creating commercials for that radio station, or I was writing blogs and articles for that radio station. We also had our own TV newscast. I know WTRGV has one too.
Yeah, they have a newscast and a radio station and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, they have a live radio station.
Yeah. They have like a college radio station. I think it's called like ghetto radio or something like that.
Yeah, ours was 98.9. I hate it. I can't remember. I used to say it for so many years. But yeah, so I mean, either way, we gather all of that. I was also part of this student-run organization that's actually associated with the Grammys. It's called Grammy U. The Recording Academy. And so with that, if someone was in town, we got to talk to music producers, publishers, anyone else, or obviously artists, Grammy Award-winning artists, so that was a great experience. You go to the behind the scenes ACL tour every year. They take you behind the scenes of ACL, and you get to see all the different jobs, whether it's bringing in the artists, whether it's setting up the stages, or of course the street team kind of people. So that was that's for sure the thing. Like I know it's rough. Like I wasn't one that got to go to college and have everything paid for, but so it is very much a grind. But that's just life is a grind, So
and all that stuff. I mean, it really helped you like with your career. So I mean, it's
because you do all that and you gather all that, and so I was able to like show people like, hey, look, this is what I've done. Like I've done this for on air, or I've interviewed this person, or I've done this, and you build that up into the next thing, and then you use that to build up to the next thing. And so that's just kind of how it goes, Unfortunately for me, I'm not a huge planner, so it was just as per chance, But like they say, kind of thing, goals are, our dreams are just goals that aren't written down yet, So you could put those down and be like, okay, how do I get to that? How do I do that kind of thing? And you just go about it, And that's like the better way to do it. But I just was fortunate to jump from one thing to another. I ended up. To go back to your real initial question of how I got into the music scene, since I was always, a part of it at some level.
Yeah, you were adjacent to it. Yeah.
When I left Channel 5, that's when really by chance again, someone reached out. I reached out to somebody who was doing a podcast. They used to be a DJ host, and they're like, "Hey, we need people to help out with this local internet radio station," and it was called RGV Titan Radio. As it turned out, they were two brothers, and they're living just down. Well, one of them was living just down the street from me. Oh, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's right there." Like, and I had heard this. I had heard of this guy before, and I was like, "Yeah, like I'm coming from." My own heart, but I was a news producer at Channel 5, I was like, I could definitely help out somehow, so we got there and he was like, hey man, whatever you want to do, like whatever you think you could do, whatever you want to do. And, I did have my experience. I didn't have the equipment. Whereas I was in college and I had cameras and computers and mics and everything to my disposal.
Yeah.
Now, for the first time, after like 9 years or so, like I'm out and I don't have anything but a cell phone.
From scratch. Yeah.
I legit started from a cell phone, man. Like it was I think like a Samsung, Galaxy something. And so we had the podcast. We had about 2 or 3 podcasts at the time. I would show up. Of course, audio was covered because we had the audio, and I would just record with my cell phone. At the end, I would go through it and try to. Obviously, now they got CapCut, which is way easier to use.
Easier, yeah.
CapCut and Canva, but that's something different. But and so I would edit on my cell phone. I remember telling my Channel 5 friends what I was doing, and they'd look at me like, "You're insane, bro!" Like, no, they're working with this. They're still working with top of the line equipment. They're like looking at me like, this is what you're doing?" Like, I'm pretty sure they wanted to be like, "You're dumb" or something.
Yeah.
They're like, "That's insane." And I was like, "Hey, I didn't have any cash. Like, this is all I had." So, I did what I could for cash on the side. I did some small realty construction videos for some cousins, that were doing that, and they just needed some pictures before and after or a video, and I was able to scrape down the side. But yeah, it really just started off with a cell phone, and as we kept going, we kept doing it. Well, I mean, if no one's doing that already, I was able to just start that from scratch for them, and it started to explode for a while. It was Vinny D's taco host. I forget the full name of it. We had our other one that was the really great one, The Human Condition. Eventually, Chris Ponce got in the mix, and he's still doing his podcast, The Average Voice Podcast. And so we had a few others, and I would go in and, I would get the clips, get the highlights, Of course, that's kind of standard what you see now. Whenever you're to go to YouTube, you see a 2-minute clip of Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was doing. You get the highlight just to get people hooked, just to let them know.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, and so we started seeing so many. I doubled like our followers within like those like the first 3 or 4 months.
Was it just the clips that worked, or what else? Like, did you work?
Clips. It was both clips. So while the podcast would be going on, I would take a picture with my phone, and I'd put it up. Hey, we have this person in right now. If you have any questions. And
it was live.
Yeah, well, so we would do it live on the radio, and then we would record it, we'd edit it a bit, and then have it running 24 hours on the internet radio station. And we also populated it with local music. So you would have local music, a block, and then it would go into a block of a pre-recorded podcast that we had. And then, of course, when that podcast was live, we would cut in and we would do the live version of it.
Would those listeners be from the Valley, or like, how did you figure that out? Like, with
a lot of it was from the Valley, because again, they're local people.
Local, yeah.
So it's all about we try to spread the word, as well as the artists that's coming in, going to spread the word, and it was a range of people. We'd have poets, actual artists, doing sculptures and stuff. MMA artists. Obviously, the bulk of it was musicians. Some cosplayers. And that was the first time I met Ramsey, who of course puts on the Comic-Cons and all that. So they would come on and talk about events, So it was a wide range of things that we would cover in those like 4 or 5 podcasts that eventually kind of opened up. But that's how I really got started with that after I left news. And it was just from bedroom DJ style, just using my phone and getting some pictures, putting it up. And then that's when I started going out to show, because I wanted more content or if we're going to do this highlight of this somebody that came to a podcast, well, I want to show a little bit of the live, thing. So I would go out to
the shows,
or Simon Says, get some really some clips, then add it into my videos. And then that's when I started meeting more the actual artists on my own, and yeah, we started growing, but boom, March 2020 comes around and all of that is gone. You know what I mean? Like the podcast, we can't get together anymore. The shows aren't happening anymore. So that was kind of rough. I had to go about it my own, and I had to start doing my own kind of photography. We did a couple of music videos. I would do some promos for some bands later on.
Which music videos did you do?
So we did one. It didn't get published, but we did one for a local rap rapper. I don't want to say rap star. He's not much. A lot of the people that we did so far aren't like in active anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were all pretty much casualties of the
COVID.
But that's when I started North 10th, because I was like, all right, well, I have to start my own brand. RGV Titan Radio had pretty much disbanded, and I wasn't going to go back to news. I was for sure like, I'm not going to go back to that grind.
What made you not want to go back to the grind of
It's
news?
a grind, man. Like, well, first off, the market isn't huge. Like, we literally have 3 or 4, news stations to choose from.
Yeah.
And then where I live in North Edinburgh, like, there's none around other than like one in Westico, one in Harlingen kind of thing. So I was very much like, no. And then, well, to be honest, the pay wasn't really too worth it too. It's like, I was going to end up spending most of my check on just gas to get there.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and then the hours. So those like 3.5, 4 years I was in news, like news is 24/7. There is no weekends off. There is no holidays off. There's always somebody,
How do people survive that? Like, I guess like even the anchors, like how do they survive?
Well, ideally you would have like enough people so that you can have
Rotating,
yeah, you can rotate holidays. You have Thanksgiving off, but maybe you work, Christmas or something like that. Or you're off of both of those, but maybe you're there New Year's Day, kind of thing. Like, so that's ideally the way it is. But the way we were at the station I was like, it was like bare bones, and just the situation wasn't getting any better. And so I was like, nah, man, like I feel like I came back and I missed friends, weddings, obviously birthdays, any kind of trips, and all that kind of stuff. Like it was just, a total grind. And I'm like, you know what, this is
not worth it. Yeah.
Not for me. I put in my time and they weren't willing to work with me. So at that point I was like, you know what, I gotta just go about it, do my own thing. It was mainly for like my own mental health, straight up. Because I left, and that was the first time, especially that last year that I was there, was the first time I dealt with like things like PTSD. Legit PTSD.
Yeah.
And anxiety attacks. Like I've never had that before. And I don't really talk about it too much, but that really was what happened. Like I'd clock out and I'd go home and I'm still worrying about how did it go? How did that newscast go? What is someone gonna say something? Like did I cover this right in the right way?
Were you guys like micromanaged or no? Or
no, it just it was just really
just work.
me.
Because I had a family member who went through something very similar where she would come out of work and I guess there would still be like PTSD. It would be a lot of anxiety and like it started affecting. It went from like mental to like physical health where she needed to go to the hospital and I'm like, okay, this is serious. Yeah.
And was it a media conglomerate or something like that she worked with? Or?
No, she didn't work in media. She worked in detention center. So,
for sure.
She's a manager in one of those places. Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, and like you said, it affects you from
it starts off mentally.
From your mental. That's how it starts off, and if you don't take care of it, it grows and it gets to you physically, and so I had to. I was like, dude, why am I sitting up at late at night? I've clocked out 2 hours ago and I'm here worried about this, worried about that, and it's just one thing after another. And then you couple that with your own personal, life. Like, am I taking care of this? Am I taking care of that? Am I, what, I have this other bill coming up, all these, before you know it, what is this? Is this talking to people, they're like, dude, that's an anxiety attack. I'm like, that's what that is. Like, that's what that, like, no, like, yeah, it's crippling. And then when I left, even, I remember the day that I left, or like the week of, some friends of mine happened to get some tickets to watch Dave Chappelle in Austin.
Yeah.
And it was like a Thursday or so. And this was like the day or two later that they're going to be like, hey, we're heading up to Austin to go. And I got family and friends up there. So they're like, yeah, we're going to go up there. Like, you might not have a ticket, but, a bunch of us are going to go. So you can hang out with the family. We'll all hang out as a crew before or after, like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I need to get out. And so I was sitting there in the backseat by myself and I'm just like, wanting to look at my phone, but I'm like, wait, I don't have to look at my phone anymore. Like, I don't have to worry about, stay on top of like whatever is unfolding right now, news-wise. Because I was following news from Dallas, from San Antonio, from Houston, from Austin, nationwide.
Just following news in general sounds awful because it's constantly like awful stuff.
No, exactly. Yeah. People are like, oh, why is news so bad? I'm like, you don't even know. Like, you don't even know. I could create an hour's worth of like the most horrible news. Yeah. But you can't. You can't because there's other things you got to talk about, So I'm like, it could be even worse. But like, I would follow all of that because I want to stay on top of the development so that by the time I get back to the station, I know where we're at on the development of this murder case or this. They're looking for somebody who's on the run.
Is there any like way where news stations would like cover mental health, like or like for like the employees or like something, because I couldn't imagine reporting the news for many years would like have a good impact on your like how you view the world. It was distorted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we had an actual program. I mean, we did do stuff for the public, you know, where it was like, oh, this week it's like mental health week kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we really didn't have our own kind of program. There was still a lot of the old guard that was there, so they're very pretty much like,
Yeah.
you just that's what
Depression,
welcome to news, son, you know, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
welcome to and so when I started, I was only an editor, and then I moved into news producing. So I didn't even leave the station, but I always felt for like those photojournalists and reporters that got to go out there and they got to do their news while like a family is crying, you know, years length away from them because they just lost a loved one in a car accident.
And they have to act stoic while on the camera.
Yeah, and you got to be there. You got to see that scene. You know what I'm saying? Like it's pretty rough. Like some of the, and I mean, we got some images in, and I got to like scrub through that to make sure we don't show something.
Yeah.
So I would see stuff my own, you know, and I'm not even the one recording it, but I would see stuff that to this day, I'm thinking about it now, still kind of just easily pops up because I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to see that. Like, I didn't need to see that. Next shot, you know, obviously.
Has it like, in any way, did it desensitize you to like violence or no?
Not too much because I didn't see too much of it. I mean, obviously you're not going to like actually record all of that stuff, you know, but you're so busy that it's on to the next one. Like, because you're working with like 20 some stories or the cross of the newscast, whether it's hard news, politics, weather, you know, all that stuff, sports, obviously. You're working with so much, it's just next. And when I was there, we would get in, we did a whole hour. I'd get in like around 2 or 3, I don't really recall, but we did an hour and a half because we would have like a 4-hour newscast and a 5 o'clock, then the 6 o'clock. So it's go.
How would you also like figure out like, okay, this is what people want to see? Like, how did you get into like that rhythm?
Well, that comes down to when I was editing, it comes down to just like the storytelling of it all. Obviously, you're going to edit to the script. So if they're going to mention something, you kind of want to show the building. You know, if they mention the car accident, you show, you know, the mangled up car. If they mention, a thief, a robbery thief, then you want to show that footage of the from the camera.
No, what I'm saying, what I meant is like, how do you choose the stories? Like, how do you know which ones are going to do well?
Oh, well, so that's the thing. I from the news producer side, like you don't really choose about what's going to do well. You have your top stories, which are like the most immediate ones. You know, I think recently, you know, there was somebody who, you know, killed somebody, and so that's going to be the top story. You want to run with the development of that at the time, whether the person is on the run, whether they've just gotten taken in. So you run with that update, and then you kind of curate your other smaller stories that are linked to that in some kind of way. So if there is a hurricane that's going to be coming in, that depending on if there's a murder case going on, the murder might be the first one. And then later on, you might need to talk about the hurricane.
Depending on like how far away it is from the
exactly.
location.
Okay. If I know, you know, today's Saturday, if it's going to come in by Monday, well, that's going to be top story because people need to know about it. You know what I mean? So then you have those 2 or 3 big stories. And then with that, you're starting to build the stories that link into the others. And obviously, if it's weather from a murder to a weather, then you kind of break it up with a little, hey, well, and for a quick look at weather, we go over to Tim, something like that. Yeah. So then that's where that cuts off. Now you're coming back and now you're able to just transition to another subject. And so, yeah, again, people think that it's all about like, bringing in news, bringing in eyes, bringing in what's going to catch your eye kind of thing. It is in the sense of only by what's relevant. That's how you're gonna build the structure. But it's not like, nah, I'm not gonna go over that because that's not eye catching. It's just again what's relevant. And it's not like they don't really tell you. Okay, like people say, oh, you need a more. It's not. I don't know. I could go real about it because, like, you know, I've had so many discussions. People are like, so they tell you what to write. Right? No, they don't.
And I guess maybe you might have seen it or maybe heard of stuff. But like, do you think there's cases where politics gets involved with the news where like they don't want to cover because maybe a certain friend or family member or someone close to the station?
In my experience, no, we never had any of that. It was always the validation behind it. Like, there was one where I'm not too sure if I was an associate producer or I was training to be a producer, where like a politician had gotten arrested for DUI.
Mm-hmm.
And people would be like, "Oh, he's a politician. Why don't you put it up?" Well, you're not talking about it because you don't want to step on his toes.
Yeah.
It's like, no, because like people get DUIs. You know what I mean? Like, there's obviously, if someone had died in another story, some of that's going to be top story. I think what was top story that day was some kind of fire at a restaurant, at an old restaurant, like in South Padre, that was going on that morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's going on. That's immediate. And that's what's obviously a bigger thing, because it's backing up traffic, and people that are going to the island need to know about this, because it's like a Saturday morning, So that takes precedent over some politician that a lot of people don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's a valley. If there's someone from Harlingen, people from Mission don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, and it's just like a mayor.
Yeah, even then it's like, well, what does that matter to anyone? But people from Mission are going to be going to the island. So yeah, you got that's what it really is about. What is it that matters? It's not just what's it to catch the biggest audience, but again, what does the most good to everyone to know? And so in the end, we did end up running that story, because as it turned out, something about he like resisted or he tried to like even evade or something like that. So that's when it's like, okay, that adds a little fuel to that fire now, you know? And so we did run it, but it was because, hey, bro, like,
it's one thing being arrested for it, another thing trying to escape and fight back.
Yeah, there's one thing where you're just coming home from Chili's, but if you're like coming home and their lights are on and now you're like trying to like run away, it's like, okay, that's not cool. And that's very like, erratic of somebody. Mm-hmm. So we, in that case, I remember one of the higher ups telling me, oh, we can go ahead and run it, but it's not going to be the top story. It comes down to getting the facts right. You got to get a statement or hopefully some kind of facts from an actual law authority, agency, officials, and you want to get some kind of character, not a character witness, but some kind of character in the story to be talking about, like, oh yeah, I saw him do this or I saw him do that. But somebody of authority, because you can't just put up someone's grandma up there and talk about their experience. It's like, well, how do we know she's telling the truth? Oh, okay. I would get calls all the time about news tips. And
how did you say on those? Like, how do you like validate them? Like, go through them, or
you have to go through the whole checks and balances. Like, is this, obviously newsworthy, whatever, but that's a broad statement. But, is this relevant? Is it immediate? Is it serve kind of a public good for the public to know, to keep them aware, to keep them safe? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you have to actually validate it. Like, is this what's going on? And so I'll say one time while I was training to be a producer, I got you get calls 24/7, man. And some of them are obviously just off the wall. I saw aliens, at the train stop, or something like that.
Which has been like one of the craziest ones you heard.
It was usually something like that.
But they came out to be true.
Oh, okay. So straight up?
Yeah.
I don't remember the immediate. It was, I don't know if the guy called me himself saying that he might kill himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he was at a hotel, and the hotel was kicking him out. And they called the police on him, and I was like, okay, man. Like, well, when they say something like that, it's like, okay, now I have to check on this, whether it's true or not. Because once he finally said, I'm going to do something to himself, like, okay. First it started off that he was getting kicked out. He was getting kicked out of the hotel room, and he's a veteran. So he was all about, I'm a vet. Why are they kicking me out? Okay, man, I don't know. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It sucks, man. Like, and but then later on, he said, I think he even called back, and that's when he said his second call, when he said that he might harm himself or something like that. I was like, oh man. And so I was training because I did have another producer there, and I told him, hey, this is what's going on. This guy called back, and now he's saying this, and he looked at me and was like, did he really say that? It's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we got to look into this now. Like, now we know, now where,
Yeah, because it could become a situation.
Yeah. And so that's when we called the hotel for sure to be like, hey, what's going on? And then since I said that PD was there, we called that PD. They're like, yeah, people are there. Yeah, we're there. So like, all right. So we had to wait for everything to happen. Turned out everything was fine. Mm-hmm. It was just, he was kind of acting erratic, and he was, unfortunately, he wasn't financially fit. And I think some charity agency had put him up in the hotel for a night or two.
Yeah.
But those nights had run out. And so he was gonna have to be on his own. And so the hotel was like, hey man, you gotta go. Like you gotta go. And
Yeah.
he didn't want to. And so I forget. I know they ended up helping him out. But everything ended up being all right. But I remember being that from it switched from we got another caller to man, this got real quick. And hopefully I myself, I gotta continue on with writing my newscast, but at the same time I'm like looking at my phone, like waiting for that thing to beep to hey, let me know what's going on, and am I gonna have to, it was a weekend, am I gonna have to send a photographer out there kind of thing? And but again, I've gotten one to where it seemed totally legit. And some lady was like, I'm picking up my son from this school, and the walkway coverage fell down and there's kids under it. I was like, what do you mean? And so I called, and I don't even know if I called. I forgot what happened, but we ended up trying to check it out, and we had a photographer in the area at the time on the way to something else. Like there was a fire going on in like a neighboring city. And so the photographer drove by, gave me a call back. There's something going on here, man. What, really? It's like, yeah, this school, this thing. I was like, yeah, it's the school, the area, the address. I looked it up, and nothing going on here, man. No freaking way. That's when he was like, welcome to the news, Rook. Like, you gotta, I'm sure you gotta, go through your checks and balance, your checks there, and make sure everything is all right and legit. But again, that's why you don't take people's words for it, whether it's a news story, whether it's stuff like that, because you don't know why they're calling. You don't know if they're true or not. And again, you don't know their motive behind it, kind of thing. And you don't want to just turn stuff into just a whole bash story on somebody for no reason when there's bigger, and more relevant, more immediate news to cover. And it's just because, a story isn't being covered, it doesn't mean that it's
not newsworthy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that, because people say, well, there's a reason that they don't say that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's no reason. It's just like there's no reason to talk about it. Like, what good at that point does it do? Like, what's the aim, from that story? So something like that person, it's just like, well, what's the aim? Well, we want to go bash on this guy for what's the outcome of it? Maybe they could put an update on, okay, now he's being charged, he's being arraigned, and well, that's it. But that's it, But the rest of the time, it's not gonna, any of those other updates are for sure not gonna be on, the top of the hour or something like that. Yeah, it's what you had to go through, man. And so again, when I left, just trying to keep up with stuff, because obviously we report on local stuff, state stuff, national stuff, global stuff, and so you always got to be
checking the news.
Always got to be, yeah.
And you got to touch that. So when you were going on that trip, you still had that.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, whoa, like I was just like that PTSD of like, my emails.
And I'm pretty sure college student, as a college student, like before, like I would remember, like after the semester was over, you would still get the anxiety, like, oh, like I feel like something's due, but nothing's due.
Yeah, the homework thing.
Yeah. Homework
like,
thing.
oh, this is. I don't have.
There's nothing.
I don't have an exam coming up. I don't have a project I got coming up. Yeah,
it's like that, but more intense.
It's similar. Yeah, it's similar though. But yeah, it's very much like that. And so, it ran its course. And so I was like, I gotta head out. I gotta get out of here. It just wasn't the payoff, for what the time I was putting in, the all of that. And what it was, how it was affecting me, it was just like, no, man, I got to make a change. And I just made the leap by chance. Is when I found RGB Titan Radio. We started building up. COVID came, that happened. So then I was like, you know what, I got to do my own thing. And kind of similar to you, I was doing my own man on the street thing.
Yeah.
I'd go out again, armed with just a cell phone. By then I got a second cell phone, so now I got two cell phones. And two cheap tripods from Walmart kind of thing. And some lav mics, and I would set up a 2-camera thing, and I would go get some shots of a band playing, and I would just pick it out, whatever band I thought was cool, whatever band I would see that obviously they're grinding. So if I knew if I did this for them, that it was going to be worth it, because I could see that they were reciprocating, the work that I was doing. And or I was just a fan, So, I would go out and I'd get a bunch of video clips. I would interview them, and I would do a whole type of, thing. Like, this is this band. We would talk. I never showed myself because I'm not, this is actually one of the first times I'm like,
on camera.
Yeah. Because I'm always behind the camera. I'm always the one asking the questions. And so that was the other thing. People didn't know what North 10th was or who was behind it.
Yeah, because it just sounds like a street. Yeah.
Yeah. And I live off North 10th. So it was super simple, but I don't know. People were like, yeah, that sounds cool. So I was like, all right, I'll run with it. And then we also did a few things. I wanted to start was like a studio sessions type thing. And so I was working with some of my friends who were still at Channel 5 at the time.
Yeah.
So to do video work, and they were the same ones that would help me on the music videos or any kind of other promos that we would do for bands. And then homeboy Julian lived a block away from me. We went to high school together. So he helped me with the audio side of it. And so
the perfect team right there.
We did, yeah, dude, all-star team. Yeah, for sure. I love those guys. We're all still friends. And so it was really good. And we only did like 3 or 4 episodes and it was gaining traction. But boom, second wave of COVID hit again. And I was like, man, we can't be in a room with a band for 4 to 6 hours, like recording and interviewing and, everyone's got their own lives and jobs. And
did you ever get to the point where like you wanted to be rebellious, like, fuck this, you know what, let's just do it? And
I mean, I did, but you always got to think of the team.
Yeah. And
so all of us were, we all wanted to, we all very much wanted to, but obviously you got to think of the band, you got to think of the bands, and you got to think about yourself. Like we were getting sick at that point in that summer. It was the first time I did get COVID, and it was pretty bad. Shit. It was really bad. So I was like, yeah, I don't want people to go through that.
How did you notice you started having COVID? Because like for me at first I thought I was just like cough, like okay, I'm fine.
Well, my brother had it, and we lived in the same house, and he was actually a manager for some local bars. They have a couple locations. He ended up getting it, and then I got it. And then my mom ended up getting it because she was helping my brother out at the time. And so all of us got it pretty bad. And I wasn't coughing up blood, but I was coughing up phlegm.
Okay.
That was like red, that had blood in it.
Okay.
So that's where I was like, no, man. I didn't want to go to the hospital at the time because, at the time, hospitals were jam-packed.
They're jam-packed.
And so I was just, but luckily, you know how it is when you don't have insurance, and hopefully you got somebody who's in the medical field and they can help you out with some meds. And yeah, I just like really listened to my body, and I just stayed put, quarantined, did everything, ate right, all that kind of stuff.
Did you lose both senses or no?
I didn't that time, but I did get COVID again. And that's when for sure I lost smell and taste.
Okay.
But I still could taste and smell. I just was not hungry, but I kept coughing. And I had actually pneumonia twice when I was young. So I've my lungs have been through it. Yeah. And at that time it was really bad. I was getting really bad headaches, head pains. Felt like somebody was just crushing my skull with their hand.
Oh.
Yeah, like for days. And then before I knew it, when I was like, man, this is going to get really bad. I didn't want to tell the person I was dating at the time, like how bad it was, because she was worried. But a day or two later, I started getting better. And I was like, oh, I got really close to like, I'm going to have to go in, man. Like, yeah. And so again, I didn't want anyone else to have to go through that. So for sure, I was like, we're not going to be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But luckily, places started opening up again. The music scene started coming back. Obviously, whether you like it or not, or took it or not, the jab came out, the vax came out, so they helped out people that needed it. And so slowly it started coming back. But it was unfortunate because
a lot of businesses did go away too. So
a lot of businesses as well as a lot of musicians, like a lot of my favorite bands, were not around from that time anymore. I look back at those videos and like, man, these people aren't doing their thing anymore. It's unfortunate. But still, I was like, you know what? I'm still gonna ride this wave because I got to do something.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started going out and getting those interviews, getting pictures, just being out and about, mingling with people. And again, that's where I started. Bands were like, hey, well, we like that pictures. Can you take some pictures of us? We'll pay you. Come up to follow us to Austin, something like that. And I got people in Austin. Looking for an excuse to go to Austin anyway. And then again, like less than a year later is when I applied to the marketing agency, and they were like, hey. They called me up because they're like, hey, well, we've seen what you're doing with the music scene.
Yeah.
Like, could you do that for one of our clients for businesses? And I was like, yeah. And so that's when they told me what it was. It ended up being Explore McAllen.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you're kind of just doing the same thing, but just go out there and do it for regular businesses that aren't musicians. I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I hit it with the ground running, and just at that time, I had to change it up a bit because TikTok had gotten big. TikTok blew up, and I went from doing landscape 2-camera interviews to, okay, now you got to do what you can with a phone, with just one phone. and do it in under 3 minutes. Actually do it in under a minute. Actually do it 30 seconds.
15 seconds, 30 seconds.
As they were looking to my stuff, I had a lot of. It was a learning curve, and so but I was able to figure it out. I was able to do a lot with that account, and now it just hit 50,000, a little over 50,000 followers. When I took over, it was at 25. So pretty much doubled it in the past few years that it's been around. And
for the TikTok or which account?
For Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
Yeah, Instagram. TikTok was still getting that page off the ground for TikTok, but it had been around on Instagram and Facebook for about 8 years prior to when I got there. And so now we're dabbling into how can we change, how can we transform it into more things. So now we have events that we've thrown, contests that we've done. I started this contest called McAllen Food Madness. So where I pit a bunch of, it's a popularity contest. It is because like obviously we're not having people make food in front of us, but it's just all about awareness and we putting up a bunch of stores so that people who are around can just see. It's all about exposure, It's all fun. Some people take it real serious, but in the end, I'm always like, as long as the businesses love it because
it's awareness for them,
Yeah, exactly. So then that's what it's all about because that's the aim of the page anyway.
Because I've seen like Facebook pages do that. I think it's called like the RGV Food Network or something like that, where they have like daily competitions. Like, okay, which barbecue place do you like the most? And they had like different votings with Chinese place. And
originally I wanted to do that, but speaking with my supervisor, my boss, and we were like, just throw everybody in there. That's where the madness comes because it's just like, I don't know if you ever watched, what is it, like a Bloodsport or played any of those, obviously like a Mortal Kombat. You have a character who's a sumo wrestler against an MMA fighter, or something like that. Like, obviously, Killer Instinct, you got a werewolf, against like a cyborg guy. Like, screw it, just do it. Like, completely open class, and then just if Whataburger on 10th Street wins, so be it. If it's a chain restaurant or if it's a mom and pop shop, so be it. But again, it's all about just getting the word out there on places and who's to say whose is better, whose is best. It's completely subjective, but it's all fun. Yeah. So but it's fun to do and people love it. And so, we see huge growth every year that comes around. But again, now we've done some markets. We just did some in the spring and we'd have 60 to 70 vendors.
Oh, sure.
As well as a couple of live music acts. We do a yoga session at the beginning where the yoga people, yoga studios go by. And so we're able to cover businesses that we're normally not able to cover with Explore McAllen because they're not brick and mortar, they're not from McAllen. But when we bring them into the vendor spot, they're getting that exposure.
And you're able to get like multiple businesses in one event instead of like traveling from one business to another, because again, the valley is kind of like driving centric, so everything's separate.
Sure. Everything is 20 minutes away in a car. Especially if you're like me and you don't live near the expressway. But and so we have that going on, and we have some other stuff that I can't really
put
out there yet, but we are working on, and we're gonna be able to use that exposure to bring more exposure, and at the same time bring fun. It's stuff to do. So that's really what it's about, is bringing people out, giving them things to do, and then also at the same time exposing people to these businesses. And it's, man, it's so great. Like, I really didn't know a bunch about like vendors, stuff like that, or like local businesses. But as I've been around, like, you get to see the people that start off as a vendor, and then they get their brick and mortar business, and then they're, before you know it, they're like the Chamoy people who are like in HEB now. It's just like, bro, like, vendor markets is like, they're legit. It's not just like the pulga type of thing. It's like, no, like, these are people with a dream, with a drive, with a business, with a vision, and that's the stepping stones, and when you see them grow like that, it's just like, dude, that's awesome. Like,
because it's just like for events, for example, it'll be like starting off with open mics. Then you start doing venues, then you do like Cinere, and there's different circuits to it too.
And you come to the open mic, so you've seen, people are coming, well, this is one of my first few times, performing, and now they're kind of like regulars around, downtown. Before you know it, they're
opening
obviously
up for
going up to different spots, or hopefully, wising up and be like, hey, we gotta, take the show out of town, like, that's just how it is. Like, you have to do that. That's part of the deal. And that's how the musicians grow, for sure. Like, you gotta think beyond the 956.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't like the 956, but that's just if you want to grow, like
You need to expand. Yeah, there's no other way.
I mean, again, I've known musicians, and I remember one of the worst things I ever heard was from a DJ. This guy was like very active. I'm talking like more than 10 years ago. I remember him saying something like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not too worried about out there. Like, I think you gotta get big in your hometown first before you go out." And I was like, why? Like, but why? Like, you're never gonna win over everyone in your hometown.
Yeah.
So why are you gonna try to go to every nook and cranny of your hometown before you move on to play in Corpus or San Antonio or put some dates together or just in Texas, kind of thing? Like, they'd be like, I get more love outside of the Valley than here, or no one goes to my shows. It's like, well, because you should, like you should be getting crowds up there. That's awesome. Like obviously down here, if you're doing the same spot, same week, like, and you're getting mad that your cousin or your friends isn't coming out every weekend. It's like, well, bro, like,
yeah,
it's the same thing for a business. Like if you're a restaurant, you can't get mad at people for going to Denny's and not going to your restaurant every weekend, kind of thing. Like people are going to try different stuff. And so you need to branch out. And so I've had some restaurants fortunately aren't around anymore where I've offered them like, hey, let me do some work for you, either whether it was for Explore McAllen or freelance. And they're kind of like, well, how many more people can we get? Like we reach people around here. I was like, red flag. Yeah, red flag. And that was one where I'm not proud to say, but I did call it. They're not around anymore. But I was like, but you're saying you're not worried about people from McAllen because you already have them all coming. It's just like, well, you got to be worried about people from Brownsville or Harlingen. Like you got to give them a reason to come over here. You know what I mean? Like if anyone's driving down from San Antonio, they don't know who you are. But if you can get it in their mind already, well, oh, I'm going down there. Oh yeah, that one spot is down there. Like same thing with San Antonio. I'm sure if you go to San Antonio, you have some barbecue places, some pizza places you already have in your mind. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, like here in the Valley, for example, like a big one that I love a lot is Teddy's.
Oh yeah,
people they're in Westlaco, which is Mid Valley. And people, they tell me, like, because I talk with the owners, that people from Mission, McAllen, Brownsville, they all come down to Westlaco just to eat at their restaurant.
Yeah.
So they don't have to rely just on Westlaco themselves. They can, like, get the entire valley to come to their location.
That, and you shouldn't be, like okay with just getting your local people, kind of thing. It's like, no, you need to branch out because that's where, if you want to get bigger, that's everyone doesn't live 5 miles away from you. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to, make that move. And you should be, whether you're doing it or not, whether you're actually going out there or not. Like, it's what it's all about. Like, why would you constrain yourself, your reach like that? So yeah, it was like red flag. When I hear that from artists, when I hear that from businesses, it's like, okay, then you're okay. You're content.
Yeah. And that's when people start dying, I think. Like once you reach that plateau where you as yourself, you don't want to like continue growing. If you're not growing, I mean, you're getting smaller.
That's how the saying goes. You're not growing, you're dying, kind of thing. And then it's really because you're living by like that same audience kind of thing. Then what happens if something happens to that audience? Or especially if you have a business and you're going by the ebb and flows of like the seasons. Where it's like, oh, summer's gonna slow down for everyone. Oh, why does it have to slow down for you though? People are traveling. I'm sure there's people coming to the valley.
Yeah, like the Winter Texans.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like people are traveling, people are leaving, coming, but like, why does it have to slow down for you? Just because it slows down for everyone? Like, then no, you still got to bump it up. You still got to like make sure that you're getting that reach out there. And so that's the biggest thing for sure. For like, I think artists really need to like. You can come to open mic, that's great, but like, within I don't know how many weeks or so, you should start looking to, can you get a show in Corpus? Can you get one in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Line it up so that, you take one weekend and just go San Antonio, Corpus, San Antonio, Austin and back, boom.
Yeah.
Like it's, you don't know how much people you're going to be able to reach, but especially you go up there and you're prepared.
Yeah.
Hey, here's my Facebook, here's this, here's that, follow me, boom, we already got that going on.
Exactly.
And that's where we're talking about like collaborations.
Yeah.
Especially you collaborate with like the venue up there, like, and they're able to like share your stuff, and people are going to see that. That's a whole other audience that are seeing you. That know.
To answer your first one though, like the first question we were saying, like, why do people want to grow in their hometown before going out? I think a reason for that one though is because like commonly you're told like, hey, you need to grow your own audience first before you start traveling, because the promoters might be like, why would I want to get you if you're a nobody in your own area?
Yeah.
Why would I want to have you here? So like, I know it's not like it's counterintuitive because, again, a different market might be more receptive to you than compared to like another market. But like, I guess that mentality stays with promoters just because they don't want to risk money.
Yeah.
I think that's why that happens.
I mean, but you can still like kind of fake it till you make it type of thing. Like, hey, as long as you're putting out some good content, and good stuff to like show them like, hey, like we're legit because we're not just going up there and have a cell phone on a tripod for 20 minutes while I'm playing. It's like, oh, but if you got a bunch of like, if you can at least have your reach, and that's where it comes to like, okay, grow your reach online.
Yeah, they want to see your Spotify numbers, your Instagram numbers.
Because the venue in Austin doesn't know that you're only playing for 15 people here. But if they see that, you have thousands of followers.
Yeah, that you can do.
Boom, there you go. You know what I mean? And that's where the whole marketing of it comes along. But the other thing about it is that I've seen is that sometimes artists feel like they don't need to.
Okay, that one's strange.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, well, it's because more of the whole like, cool, man, I just got to show up and play. You know what I mean? And like, I'm going to grow. It's like, but no, you need to make Facebook posts. You need to make reels. You got to be out there. You got to be posting any kind of update. You got to be in people's eyes and people's faces. And that's where the algorithm helps out, where somebody is looking at your page, but then the algorithm sees that person. Oh, they're friends with somebody else. So then they know, oh, I'm going to share it to that other person too. So you're already getting shared and you're not even trying.
Yeah, because that's how like some agencies, like I had some agencies reach out to me and they said they found me through tag posts and social media.
Yeah.
And that's how they discover you. So, I mean, obviously it works and people should be doing it.
For sure. No, you got to tag everything. Tag the venue, tag the other people that were playing with there. If you're putting it on stories, make sure to tag other people so that they can share that story.
Yeah, you never know who's clicking those hashtags to like find the content.
Yeah, but again, I've worked with other artists where I'm like, dude, let me interview you. Let me interview you. Let me get some shots. And they're like, yeah, we could set something up, or, they're just real nonchalant about it. Like, okay. I was like, dude, I'm trying to help you out. Like, this is free marketing, but you're stuck with the whole, if I do it, I'm selling out. Like, no, dude, like that's not how it works. Like, sell it. You need to sell yourself. Like, why should this person go see you? Why should this person click on your link to hear your new song? You know what I mean? Like, if you just put it up there, here it is. And don't say anything about it.
They conflate selling themselves to selling out.
Yeah.
Because selling out would be like going against like your ethics, your morals, going against your band itself, basically. Selling yourself is like saying, hey, this is us, this is who we are. No.
Yeah. Like, you have to, almost be an influencer, but it's your brand.
Yeah.
It's your brand, and you gotta take it, you gotta run with it. And again, this whole kind of like, you're too cool because, again, if you do it, you're selling out. It's like, well, you're not, because selling out also means you're getting money and you're not getting paid. Selling out is that you're getting bank and they're telling you how to look, how to, whatever. Obviously, that was the old school like record industry style where you got signed, but now they're telling you where to play, and
how to dress,
they
how
control
to look,
your image, all that kind of stuff. That's like legit selling out. And then now you're doing a commercial for Abercrombie kind of thing, or like, that was it. But nowadays it's like, no, dude, like chase that paper, man. Like that's, and it's easiest now more than it's ever been. So like, why not? Like, and then if you're doing it for the aim of getting exposure and getting bigger, that's what you're gonna have to do. That's what you have to do. If you don't, you're just gonna sit back on the same songs that you've been playing for the past 3 or 4 years and put up one post every like week or two or something like that, and you wonder why people aren't coming out to your show.
Because people are gonna think like, okay, if you're not active, you're not doing that much, nobody's booking you, so why would I want to book you?
Yeah, and even if you aren't active, you could still post up a picture of just, dude, like, man, that's how I would go about it. If I was in a band, and I've never been like in a band officially like that, but it's just like, you go up to a show, just have one person who's taking a picture of the guitarist tuning, take a picture of the drummer, whether you fake it or not. Hey, just pose like you're actually playing or something like that. Like, that's a post, and obviously hopefully you have somebody get some live shots of you. Make sure that whoever's sharing you share, them too, or something like that. Like, there's just so much that artists can do that could just help market themselves better. But just, you hear the word marketing and you kind of cringe, but it's just like, that's how it goes, man. Like, you gotta put yourself out there, and it's all about, you're going to get out of it as much as you put into it. Mm-hmm. And if you're not putting a lot into it, then you gotta be wondering why your page isn't growing, why people aren't streaming your song, why people aren't showing up to your show. That's pretty much the reason why.
Yeah, I think another part of it is that some people don't even have like the idea to market themselves.
Yeah.
Because like you have, I mean, from you, like you have your background in advertising, your media writing. Some of these bands, they don't have that like mentality, so they don't know what to do. They just post random stuff and hope that it works out.
I understand, and just how when you're a musician and you're starting out, how do you start out? By picking up a guitar and playing Crazy Train.
Yeah,
you know, and then you start your own style. You know, it's like do the same thing. Follow your favorite bands. What are they posting up? You know, what are the ideas that they're posting? Are they posting a little small clip of, hey, we're about to practice right now?
Yeah.
Boom, there's a post. Hey, we're at a show. Boom, there's a post. Go live right before the show. That's a post. You know what I mean? Like if you have a picture that you took earlier, put that up on the story. You know what I mean? Like if you have a bunch of pictures, put that together. That's a reel. Like there's just everything is content. That's the thing that we always say for sure in social media. Everything is content. Whether you're driving to the venue and you're walking in, here we are, kind of thing. Obviously, quantity is what's best because that's what's going to get your algorithm going.
Yeah.
But you need both if you really want to do it the best. You need quality and quantity. But for sure, quantity is the best thing. If you could do 3 to 4 posts a week, maybe a couple of pictures, one reel, and then maybe 3 stories throughout the week. On those off days that you're not posting, post up a story. One of those stories could be the sharing of that post. You know what I mean?
I get you.
Like that is it. Everything is content, bro. Like everything is content. And that's how I would be when I first started doing North 10th, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm not going out. I'm not, getting a new picture of a band.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm sitting on gigs of bands that I've seen, and venues that I've been to.
Yeah.
You put something together and you can make a post out of it, kind of thing. Obviously, so if you want to grow, like for artists, for a venue, obviously social media and getting active, that alone can get broken down into so many things. Live pages, live event pages on Facebook. I know anyone 25 or younger,
they're not gonna be on Facebook. Yeah. But it does work.
It's a necessary evil.
Okay.
Just how people who are 25 and older are like, oh, I don't want to be on TikTok. You gotta be on both. Like,
on both.
And so, but I say that because, like, one other thing is obviously a website. I understand the website is a commitment, financially, time wise. You gotta figure out how to figure it out. But just like with everything, there's ways to do it for free. I would say the easiest thing is Linktree.
Yeah, Linktree.
Get a Linktree because all the website is just that hub.
It's a landing page.
Exact. So is a Linktree. Linktree is the exact same thing. So if you have a Facebook, put up a Facebook event anytime you're playing somewhere or anyone's playing at your venue. If you're gonna come to open mic night, make an open mic night Facebook event, and then you put on your Linktree, put it tour schedule or something like that, events,
and
then link it right to your event page of your Facebook, and boom, it's all there of wherever you're going to be at what time and at what venue. Obviously, it helps the venue out. It helps the organizer out of that event. At the same time, you have a bunch of pictures, boom, to your Instagram. You have some reels and TikToks, put that up to another thing. And so that's like taking the place of a website in the most easiest way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you can have that and just, here it is. Here's my schedule. Here are the links to my events. Here's video, here's pictures. Like it's all there to obviously the Spotify, to their YouTube page. So boom, there it is. And so that's what I'm saying. Like Facebook, it's a necessary evil because you can use it like that. And then in the same way, you can use them all. You can't discriminate. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at least. Obviously, Twitter and then Reddit. But utilize them all because it's all there for you and it's all for free.
It's free
it's
stuff.
All easy. It's all content.
And even if it doesn't work out, I mean, someone might see it and they might go, but they might not. But like, it's still free.
Yeah, for sure. And then you can make another post on here. Check out our Linktree. It's all content. Like that's what I'm saying, man. Like, yeah, there's so much you could do. Obviously, collaborate with other artists. I'll always go back to you put in what you put out. Any page that I manage, I manage up to 4 to 5 pages at a time. Some seasonally, so it could be up to 6 or 7. But you put out what you put in, and I get in there. I always make time to respond back to messages, respond back to comments, like other people's comments, and then at the same time on those feeds, like the other artists that you're following, the other venues that you're following, leave comments on them, tag them and stuff. Because people always talk about, every community in the Valley talks about it. We got to come together. We got to come together.
Yeah.
The most easiest way to do that is just to like and comment on each other's stuff.
That's true.
If we're starting to like and comment on 10 other band pages, and those people start reciprocating that's 10 more followers. That's 10, not just followers, but that's 10 more engagement that you're getting on your posts. That's how you quantify that.
That's
you know,
make a community,
in the simplest way. Obviously, there's other stuff where we don't do a collaboration, do a collab post with a couple of guys from different bands. Hey, we're all gonna be playing, stuff like that. Or if you put up a reel and make sure to add someone else as a collaborator, that's another way. But either the venue or another band. But again, you got to put in what you put out, and that helps out a lot. You will see growth with that if you're starting to comment, like, share other people's stuff, because they'll eventually like, hey, they're seeing you now. Yeah, I'm gonna like and share their stuff too, and there it is, man.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I want to implement some of these ideas because, I mean, you make a good point. Again, like, I'm always trying to learn how to better advertise, because as a promoter, your main job is promoting shows. So, like, the common thing that everybody does is just Instagram posts. I do post on Reddit, like I share the flyer and all that stuff. Post actual flyers around downtown, and that's about it. I mean, Instagram posts. Recently, I did start doing collaborations, and it's worked out pretty well, like with other like event curators or lifestyle influencers. And it's,
no, for sure.
Yeah,
and then obviously there's those kind of things too, where hopefully, I mean, I know it's not a big thing for musicians, but for a venue or a restaurant, you can get those kind of bloggers to come by. I've been to those where a really nice restaurant invites 10 influencers. We're all there hanging out, but obviously that person's gonna see their growth show because of everyone that's putting it up there. And I'll put up a post on Explore, and ideally I'm searching for at least 40 to 50 plays on Instagram, so they'll bring me out, and sometimes they'll give me free food, but it's because they know, like, hey, this is legit, like, marketing, and I track it from my own, so I can show my higher ups, that kind of stuff. Hey, there's plenty of times I go out to a restaurant, I post up the video, and they get at least 100 new followers in 24 hours. Sometimes they've done it in hours. Yeah, where I've seen that, and I'll screenshot like their followers. Yeah, like right after I post it up, and it's like, boom, there it is. Like, and you can't. How do you put a price tag on that?
How do you do?
Yeah, well, they end up giving me a free meal. So, all right, well, we'll take that, But if venues and venues and restaurants going to go that route, you can definitely bring in people to be like, hey, this is what we have going on. We invite you out to this, kind of stuff. And then there's the other stuff. I know you've talked about like giveaways. And,
giveaways, raffles.
Even bands can do that. Bands can be like, hey, whoever comes to the show and the first 3 people to post and tag us, kind of thing on a certain song, something like that. They'll get a free, whether it's a T-shirt or a sticker or, something like that. That's obviously traditional, the very traditional marketing, but it's another way. It's another way to go about it. It's all marketing, collaborations, giveaways. Cultivating your community, cultivating your own feed, utilizing all of those free platforms together, and you'll start to see numbers moving around. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you got to put it in. You got to put it in. You got to put in the work, and you got to sell out. But you got to sell yourself, man. Yeah.
And I think that's like the hard part, because if you're a band, like, you gotta write your own music, produce them, maybe get it like someone like a producer or something.
Yeah.
Do your own marketing. Do your own advertising, start booking your own shows, so it becomes very difficult.
But
again, it's part of the grind. So
for sure, it's you can't be afraid of that. Because like they say, another cliche, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, kind of thing. And I started, with a cell phone. Obviously I got my own computers and all the kind of stuff that I'm able to edit on. I got I'm building up my equipment, but I got cameras, lenses,
really good equipment.
Cameras, lenses, lights, mics. I have it all. So but it all started with just like a cell phone. What I mean? And so
where do you want to go from this point on? Like, you already established yourself. What's the next step for you?
Next up, I actually want to get. So I've gotten more into photography, like portrait photography. Again, it's nothing groundbreaking, but I really want to like establish that because traditionally I went to school for journalism.
Journalism, yeah.
And so anything media that I've been doing has always been new to me. So I'm constantly learning. I definitely need to, with social media wise, things are always evolving. By the end of the year, like, I mean, it already is, but by the end of the year, things like CapCut and Canva are going to be like the standard.
Yeah.
You know, so if anyone that's in school right now,
they should learn that
for sure,
learn those tools.
master CapCut, master Canva, because whether you're with a small business that doesn't have the means to get, Photoshop or something like that.
It is expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you pirate
and
it.
then the learning it, is intricate, man. Like I still have like basic Photoshop skills. I'm really good at Lightroom, obviously really good with Premiere and some After Effects, but like even Photoshop, like actual composite stuff, like that's still very new. But we very much integrated Canva in our agency within the last year, and it's such a useful tool, especially when you're doing bulk posts for multiple businesses, multiple clients.
It's very easy to learn. It doesn't have like a high learning curve compared to like Photoshop.
Yeah,
Photoshop, you get like, you'll see so many different tools, and it's scary.
Yo, for sure, it's intimidating. It still very much is, but then you get to break it down into Canva, and hey, it's not Photoshop quality or something like that, but content is content, and unless you have something up,
and I think for the average person, it's still something.
Yeah, because it's all about turning that wheel of your activity on, and make sure that wheels continue turning. So whether you could put out a really nice Photoshop job, or you're going to spend some time and make 5 posts on Canva that you can schedule out for the time. What's to say is a difference?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think most people are gonna be like super judgmental of like your post. Not
the average person.
As long as you see the information, you know what it is, it's relevant, you'll go.
Yeah, now, unless you want to put together, like one of those flyers for like a huge music festival. Well, you're gonna do that in Photoshop. Yeah, but if you're putting up a flyer for open mic night here, like, dude, what difference does it make if you get this master Photoshop web designer type person?
And I think to a certain extent, if it's too professional, I feel like some open micers might be intimidated by that because like, oh, this is too professional.
Yeah. I mean, there might be people that are gonna might be turned off, like, that's not my level to go out there, kind of thing. But in the end, when you post it, when you post it, like, if you made it with Photoshop, whether you made it, some other business made something else with Canva, like, it's still the same playing field. You know what I mean? And so, which one's going to perform better or not, just because you made it with Photoshop doesn't mean you're automatically it's going to perform better. Might look better, sure.
Yeah.
But again,
it doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah. Again, if you're going to make 5 type of posts for that same one, easily on Canva, you're saving time. And then you're going to be active, and you're not stuck to, you paid $300 to a graphic designer to make one flyer that you're going to post over and over again that people are going to get tired of seeing.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. There goes that.
That's right. We got these liquid deaths here too.
Yeah. We have some liquid deaths. LNF, please sponsor this podcast.
Liquid death, come out. It's the only death that I drink.
Yeah. Kill your no.
Is that the thing?
I think kill your thirst. Yeah, something like that.
Murder your thirst.
There you go. Yeah.
Disseminate all thirst quenching.
I would love to have them as a sponsor, because I mean, most people that are like watch the podcast, it's a product that they use. So,
yeah, definitely.
So I need to talk to whoever's in charge of that company.
Hopefully they have a 956 number. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because I know they have like. Is it factories or warehouses? I know they have one like in Harlingen.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the distributors.
Yeah, the distributors. Yeah. Because I don't think the actual company would respond, but I think like the local distributors might, because I know they do stuff with like 94.5 and all that stuff.
Well, Michael Scott once said, "You miss all the shots you don't take."
There you go.
# Wade Gretzky.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the ideas you talked about, like teaming up with venues, that could possibly work. I mean.
Oh yeah, venues. Like I said, those even vendors. Think about it. If you want like a product type thing, I'm sure there's vendors out there that would be down to like, oh yeah, we'll give you some free juices or something like that.
Yeah.
And put them out like, hey, dude, this is a really great juice. Of course, if you like it, kind
Even
of
better.
thing. Yeah, put it out there.
Yeah, because that's why I should keep the podcast like super slim in terms of like budgeting. Like right now, the only cost is driving here or driving anywhere, and that's the major cost. And then like paying my producer, and that's it. If I'm able to pay myself even better, but if I can cover those basic needs, I mean, I'm pretty fine because down the line, I would love to have a studio, but I think that's like a bigger investment.
Yeah, and then you got. I mean, in the end, you always got to find you got to justify that investment also.
Yeah.
And so that's the hard thing. Is like, well, I'd love to do it, but can we justify it? Because maybe, you know, the income or the, you know, kind of thing, the profits aren't coming in for that kind of thing. So you kind of have to look it off. Like I've one time I bought a lens, $2,000 some lens, loved it. And I was going to put it on payments, but I just couldn't justify. I was like, I'm not going to use it as much as I really need. So I sent it back. I got another one, and that one is like my main one, kind of thing. Kind of like I can use this way more for so many different things, kind of thing. And I still want another one, but at the moment, that's it. Justify it, I guess, kind of. But we'll get there, kind of thing. You know,
for me, it's like
you'll get there as well.
Yeah, for like justifying the studio, it's kind of hard because then some of the musicians are from McAllen, some are from Westlake, some are from Brownsville. If I were to get like one spot, like they would have to take that drive, and I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not everybody wants to do that. So
and that's what's so cool. I was gonna say, man. You know, obviously, thanks for bringing me on here. But obviously, like, bro, like, kudos to you, man. Like, kudos, props, everything to you, because you know, I've listened to. I listened the first one I listened to for sure because you had a homeboy Julian on.
Julian,
yeah, and then I've heard some other ones since, like a Bummer Shed. I always called it Boomer Shed. It's my reason for in my mind for some reason until I actually went. And other guys, you know, like Pillow Snake, you know, I was one of the guys that we got to
that
talk.
one I need to do a redo because my older laptop had it was like slowing down and it crashed.
Oh no!
So that's why like the only audio came from the camera and the microphone itself, so it was like really echoey.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make sure to get him again.
Yeah, dude, super. I mean, I haven't seen him in forever. But man, the stuff that he puts together, his live show, you know what I mean?
It's very experimental.
Yeah, I know for sure. And like you love to see that, you know. And that was like the biggest thing when I left Channel 5, was that, you know, I had spent time in San Marcos and then in Austin, and I was really like, dude, you know, I miss like going out to a dive bar, piano bar, or just some venue down the street, and just like, boom, just discovering, you know, a band that, you know, could just freaking wail, you know? And, and I was like, dude, that's awesome. I was always like, man, I miss that. Too bad we don't have that here. It's all cover bands wherever I go. But when I started with RGB Titan Radio and we started bringing in
local artists,
we were bringing in, original artists kind of thing. And I was going out, I was like, we do have that. Like, we do have that variety, you know, and bands that are so freaking talented and innovative, you know what I mean? Like, but, that I was just like, dude, I'm not missing that scene up there anymore. Like, all I need is your being or Gremlin or Cena, or, you know. I would go out to, you know, you're talking about Harlingen. Like, I'd go out to Hop Shop, the spot, and then even again when the smaller venues were really coming up, there was Bummer Shed. I always forget the other one, Galactic or Sauce House.
Sauce House, yeah,
Sauce House, and then there was even a couple even smaller, more like house party vibe type places. There was a spot in Mission that was like death metal. That was just like do a bunch of whole death metal. And I only had to go once. My friends from Monodyssey, Against the Grain and Red Hour, them I met because they were playing at a friend's house in Mission, and they had a whole shed in the back, and they had some guy selling hot dogs, you know, stuff like that. I was like,
cool.
What is going on? Like, I haven't been to a house party in like years, you know, kind of thing. But I get there and then I was like, dude, these guys freaking well, you know, like, that was so awesome, and it was so great to find that's down here. And so I commend you so much for trying to highlight that. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because it's very difficult to find. Because I told bands like, I only found the music scene because someone got interviewed by KRGB. Like, any other way, like, to get into the scene, like, you need to know people that are already part of it that can like invite you in. That's always been a struggle with that. I'm trying to solve. That's why I did the podcast, because there's Awards, there's Gremlin, there's 707. Oh shoot, there's all these venues, but like, people still kind of struggle to find the music scene itself, that it even exists.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, how can that be solved? Because I mean, you're someone who's marketing.
Honestly, you, bro.
Okay.
You, bro. Like, you're one of the, you know, doing stuff like that. Like, you know, obviously stuff that that I myself will do. Posting some pictures. Obviously, the homeboy of homeboys behind the lens is George Glass. But what you do, things that I've done, George Glass. Obviously, the Q was really good when they had their own kind of like homegrown or whatever it was that they called it. I don't know if I don't really listen to like too much Spanish rock unless we have to for like promos that we do for venues. But yeah, I don't know if those places kind of do any kind of segments, for them. I think Channel 5 might have done, but it was like on their second channel, like 5.2.
5.2, yeah.
I think they had a couple of segments where they had, Johnny Canales type, thing where they had someone come in and be the host, and then they had someone start. So one thing would be great is, again, doing what you're doing. If we can get obviously the bigger stations to kind of help out with spreading the scene. If the venues themselves were a little bit more on it about spreading the scene.
Yeah.
A lot of it really is going to be, word of mouth, and that's trying to convince your friends like, hey, this is a really good band. And so when friends at that time were getting into my car, I had a whole North End playlist where it was just nothing but local music, and they'd be like, who's this? What's this? What's that? Like, this is local. They're local. I'm like, yeah, bro. But you have to have those friends that are open minded to like, oh, I'm not gonna just listen to whatever Drake is putting out. It's like, no, but listen to my favorite group was TAO. I don't know if you know them. We got that going on.
Yeah.
Might have to wrap up soon. I'm not sure. But yeah, continue doing what you're doing. Obviously the bands, they themselves are going to have to market themselves.
Yeah.
It really is a community thing. And that's why everyone always talks about the community having to come together. But if they can come together and like the ways that I was saying, where it's just spreading each other's word, collaborating like that, like whenever they're getting together for shows, for events, like that's what's going to build it up. Like, and you've seen it so much within the past year, just here.
Yeah, the scene has been like growing. It's becoming more mature. Now we're going to the point where some bands, like for example, one of the biggest bands here is Glare. It's a shoegaze band. It's getting to the point where like some of the younger bands from Brownsville, they're getting inspired by them.
Yeah.
So like now I'm seeing like, okay, now our scene's maturing because I think the Valley's music scene is a little bit young compared to like San Antonio, Austin, or Dallas.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially after the pandemic, like the whole scene, it's almost felt like we lost a whole generation.
Yeah, because
because like all those people that were in their 30s that had wife and kids and all that kind of stuff, like you had to pick, and you had to give up the going out and playing with your friends. So like, I got to work because we need to keep things going.
More responsibilities.
So I noticed for sure when the scene came back by the beginning of 21, end of 2020. Like it seemed like everyone I knew was gone. That's kind of sad, but I think now more than ever, like it's kind of coming back to almost that pre-pandemic style. Again, if we could just get more outlets, like you. There was a couple of bloggers at the time that were also blogging consistently about bands. And
so you think blogging would also help out, right? So the SEO and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously, if they can really try to aim to get, I don't know if people still listen to the radio. I haven't for forever, but
I think right now it's like Spotify, Apple Music. That's
if there's some kind of thing, I'll tell you straight up. Maybe you do like a playlist. Come check out Joe Martin playlist. And boom, put a bunch of bands together, and you kind of package stuff for people. Obviously, we can't do albums anymore, but maybe you can get people to sign off, put together your own soundtrack. Here you go, kind of thing of people that have been on. There's so many ideas, it's just all about how can you package it all, and then it's gonna be hard, but there's been strides. There's been huge strides just within the past year. Again, here at Walrus, Gremlin, Cena. It was an unfortunate year left, but
707 now.
But Rick is doing a great job at 707. And I think he's already exceeded what he was doing at Europe. And that guy is all about the scene. He's such a good dude. Obviously, Andrew Rains just opened up the Lone Star Theater in the far area. I heard about that. And then we still have Harlingen, the hop shop that won't be beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that place is legendary. It's out there, but obviously Cameron County has their scene. It's just about like, hey, it's a drive over there. It's a drive over here, but we have people that are here on open mic nights that come from Brownsville, come from Harlingen, and it's great to see because you can't think of it as as an artist, why should I have to go over there? it's like, well, you have to if you want to.
You want to grow,
you want
yeah.
to get bigger. You want to spread your word. Like you have to. You can't be like kind of. You can't be
Picky, basically.
too proud about it or
Yeah.
stubborn. Stubborn about it. It's like make a drive over here once a month. We can make a drive over there once a month or so, some kind of thing. Like we can really like actually literally bring it together, kind of a thing. There's also like community pages. Like I know John King has always had the rock page and the rap page. It's like those are other like bulletins you can like.
I need to check those out. Say John King, right?
John King Entertainment. He does the baddest bands in the RGV, and I think his hip hop one is like the baddest hip hop artist in the RGV kind of thing, and so if you keep those kind of things alive, that can bring people. And again, those are the necessary evil of Facebook kind of thing, but again, those are all things that you can use that are to your disposal that shouldn't be overlooked.
Yeah, and are free. Again, the big thing, they're free.
What's that?
Then the big thing is that they're free because.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's always like a constraint for the smaller bands.
Canva is free, CapCut is free. That's for production. Facebook events is free. That's for hosting your scheduled events and sharing it. Linktree is free. All of these things, just using your phone nowadays. Like that's get a couple of good shots, put it together. That's a simple reel, simple post, carousel of pictures. It's all content.
So I guess right now I want to wrap it up because I know they have their event coming up too. So
I want to catch a song too. It's a good song.
So I guess what advice would you just give for early creatives, whether it be career wise, advertising tips? What would you just recommend for them to like keep going on?
Again, there's so much power in the palm of our hand. That's how I started, and there's even more power in it now than when I started. 2019, 4 or 5 years ago, from when I started from scratch. Just be a master of Canva, be a master of CapCut, and then try to grow a brand, whether it's your own brand or someone else's brand. My mom owned a daycare. Yeah. So when I first graduated, before I was doing with KRGV, when I first graduated, I took over I made a Facebook page for her. So if you have an aunt, uncle, or friend,
perfect.
Anyone that's got a super small like business, just so you can show, just so you can show off like, hey, you know what you're doing, and you can be able to show a store, hey, any kind of small business like a venue, like, hey, this is what I've been able to do, and I've been able to grow, and again, it can all be done with a cell phone. So just start off like that, like whether it's creating your own brand or taking over someone's small brand, you can start off with whoever will let you do that. Make a few posts for somebody if you can too. There's plenty of restaurants that you got to look around for yourself, but you'll find them where it's like, yeah, you're great, but your social media presence is crap.
Not great. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's no reason to ignore that because it's only going to be publicity for them. So if you can get together with a store maybe with a band, but I know bands obviously have their money tied up in other stuff. But if you have your own friends band, maybe you want to do some video shots for them, and all of that will grow. And it's very much from the grassroots type of way to start, but it's there, it's doable, and you have more power now than you do before. Yeah.
So where can people find you? Like you can plug in all your social media, your websites, everything. Go for it.
For sure. So my main thing is North 10th. So I'm actually talking about brand. Yeah. I'm pretty late up to the game, but because I'm just getting to it. But I'll have my website up by the end of the month. By the end of June, it'll be north10th.com. So that's n10th.com. Yeah. And then from there, you'll be able to see all of my photography, whether it's real estate, portraits.
For 10th, just like the numbers or like the word 10th or
the number. So n10th. Yeah. .com. Okay. So just North 10th. North10 spelled out.com was taken.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's why just to make sure because it happens.
And I actually waited around, but the person wasn't giving it up. So I was like, all right, bro, I gotta move on because I gotta get things going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously you can find what I do post on Explore McAllen, which is on everything. North 10th, which is on Facebook and Instagram. North10.com I'm sure when this is going up, but it will be North10.com will be up. I already have it, the domain and all that. It'll be up by June. And then my own personal one is on the CeeLo. I'll probably change it back to something else. I don't know. I've never been it was just something I came up with 15 years ago. I don't know how old Instagram is, but yeah, Carlos A. Ibarra on Facebook. But usually just go to North 10th and you could find a link tree that has all my stuff, and you'll find the north10th.com will have everything else to everything else as well. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. It was great having you on, learning all these different tips. I'm going to implement them myself. I would love to have you on again. I mean, under better conditions too. Because
I feel like I don't even know how much, but I feel like I talked a bunch. But
no, it's great. I mean, that's what my show is always about, more so about the guests than myself. Because if people want to know about me, they can ask me. But like for the guests, that's why people watch the podcast. It's not about myself. I never make it about myself. There's more to learn about someone like you, for example, like all these advertising tips.
I mean, if anything I said could help anyone out, I'm pretty sure. If anyone else has questions, feel free to hit me up. You can hit me up about whatever too, man. Like, I'm very much an open book. And I just like you, I'd love to see the scene thrive. I'm in it too, as far as trying to make it get a little bigger and let people know this is so much fun. I know you're a fan. We do this because we love it. We do it because we're fans, but we also want to see it. Back it up and see it better. So if anything I can say help anyone out, sure. Or if anyone has anything else to say against what I had to say, I don't know. Whatever. Everything's evolves, man, and so just staying put and not doing anything for sure is never the goal.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.